And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Just wanted to mention ISFF is coming tomorrow to let Joe know as well. We're going to do a show tomorrow night, thinking 8 p.m. Pacific. So join us then as we cover the NFL Week 4. And also, Is It Time to Panic? Our annual Is It Time to Panic show. So hopefully you get a chance to check it out. Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also as well, of course, Joe Soros here, Simblades with a Y.com. And, of course, you can go ahead and catch him as Ox1947 today at LakersBall.com. We're also on Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. If you haven't yet subscribed to those great channels for John Costa, please do so. Help him out. Also as well, the Lakerholics crew, Laker Tom, Jamie Sweet, Michael Heinrich at Lakerholics.com. Stone Hansen. Go ahead. I know we haven't seen him in a while, but try to reach out. Hopefully he is doing okay. Hopefully I'll hear back from him and have him on the show soon. Find out hopefully in the coming days right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Also as well, of course, our good friends Lakers in 5, Empire Chef TV, covering the Dodgers, John McCalian channel, and Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, the Legend 350, all those great places to go and check out. But please make sure you start here. Like, subscribe, share, do whatever you can to help us out. We're almost back to 1,800 subscribers. And we've got great members, including Intel Wild, Samir, JSJ, Kurt, Darren, Sports Baby, Richard, Bloodhound, and Xbox. And those guys tomorrow will get my full thoughts. I'm so excited, Joe. We got to cut down the couple minutes for the show because I got to be finished and have the show uploaded audio by midnight because the Mr. McMahon documentary is on Netflix. You're on mute. Got you now.
Oh, that's on tonight.
That's on tonight. Money, 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 money. Yes, there you go. Mr. McMahon.
Wait, wasn't he a participant in this? How good?
He was a participant on it. He got convinced by Bill Simmons to do it because Bill Simmons, executive producer, also the guy from Tiger King as well. They're doing it. He was a participant.
Tiger King?
Yes.
Oh God.
That's it. Anyways,
it makes sense for Vince though.
Well, he's denounced it in recent days.
I'm sure you've seen the Sabu interviews.
Yeah, he's denounced it, exactly. He's denounced it in recent days. And there's reports he tried to buy the actual series back from Netflix, which Netflix said, no way, this is too juicy stuff. So I'm going to be glued to the television tonight. I may do an all-nighter, but my members out there I just mentioned will read my thoughts first, before the Cosmos, before anywhere in the entire world. They'll read my thoughts on the Mr. McMahon series. That's a special bonus for members that you could be one today, $2.99 a month. You'll get to know my thoughts on the Mr. McMahon docu-series on Netflix before anyone else. Plus, also as well, please like, share, and subscribe. So you can go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Fast Break podcast. Darren says it's not the same old lineup on the Lakers Fast Break. It's Joey, and Gerald. Okay. Someone's not happy. So
I thought that was a compliment.
No, he said he was lamenting last night as well at the very end of the show, saying it's not the same old for him because we don't have Stone back on the show constantly. But remember, he moved to Memphis, or in the area. So he's on a different time zone. So it's harder to get in touch with him and correlate a time for him. And you guys know about all the other stuff that went down in our shows. So as far as people that are not on the show anymore, they are not on their own volition, and we wish them all the best. So
Darren, is that what you're saying? I'm not
Yeah, that's what he was saying, because he said it last night and now he's saying it today. So, and Xbox, yeah, I did see the underwhelming PlayStation State of Play. What a waste of time. Why would I want to get Horizon Zero Dawn remastered when it just came out just a few years ago? Yeah, give me a break. But it is what it is. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. We talked yesterday. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I'm confused.
I'll tell you later. It's okay. He's just, I kind of mentioned it to you last night after the show because he posted something right at the end of the show, and now he doesn't cool, bro. He has no beef with us. He just wants to see a variety of people again on the show, as much as we had before. And when you're doing this voluntarily, you're come and go, and things happen. So we will try to get more people on the show when possible, and we'll see what we can do about that. So, but it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Oh, that's what you need, is a Laker Tom sighting. Well, I'll correlate that to Laker Tom and see if he can get by on the weekend. I'm on the group text for the Lakerholics, so I will text it out to them that Darren misses his.
I'm gonna make this very clear for a lot of you guys out there that for me, it seems like everybody and their mother that has any kind of celebrity does a podcast now, which dilutes the specialness.
I am the mother
doing a show. However, most of those shows, yeah, they're getting numbers because of their celebrity. You listen to them talk and you want to go commit murder to yourself. I don't even know why anybody would listen to them. But anyways.
Well, the JJ Redick product.
Here's the issue, folks.
These athletes podcasts, they're really bad.
Yeah, they're bad, but people watch it, and that's all that matters, right? So now, why are people dropping off? Why people aren't showing up? Folks, this is going to hurt a lot of people that I'm going to be talking about, but it's a fact. It's not made up. It becomes no different than being a professional. Some people, and I've made that mistake in the past, by the way, folks, and you learn from it, not being a professional. If you're going to commit to something, commit to it. Now, I've never been able to commit to the show in a sense of I need to create some things on a daily in terms of maybe some kind of production, things like that. I unfortunately do not have enough time in the day to do that yet. The plan is to get there, but as of right now, I don't. It is easy for me to research because I do have a lot of downtime when I'm driving, or my driving is consisted of listening to things as well, or mainly.
Because he Joe on the freeway.
No, I'm not reading on the freeway.
What was that stat from last season again? Oh no!
I have every app that you can think of. I have every kind of source that I can watch. I can watch any NBA material, any fantasy football material, any NFL material, any baseball material, NASCAR, PG. I mean, it's all there. So if I really wanted to get the scoop of the day, I can find it pretty quickly and listen to it. The issue with us here in terms of our popularity is we're not big enough yet to bring in that huge audience. We're just not famous people. The only way to do that is to put out the tentacles, but putting out the tentacles means there needs to be resources attached to that, and the resources are not there yet, but the plan is to be there. Now, those who have periodically showed up, at least recently, are really more focused on their own lives, and we're all focused on our own lives to a degree, but there's not a lot of commitment either. Then you factor in the people that have come onto the show and then not be on the show. Not a lot, but a few who have run into personality conflicts, which is stupid to me. How can you create a problem in a setting like this? We're not even working together. We're not making any money together. We're not really making any decisions in the sense of trying to put something together. It's pretty basic. So that becomes now someone who can't handle the day-to-day or the criticism maybe, or some kind of switch in whatever's going on in the show. And then you got Gerald and I left. The commitment to the show is to continue to entertain and continue building this. And we are at a dead spot right now in September, but things are going to pick up next month and so on, just like they do every year. And I'm not going to go beg anybody to be on the show. And it's very hard to be on the show anyways, folks. Unfortunately, we lost one person. We lost Sean due to his inability to compartmentalize things in his own head. I'll just leave it at that. It sucks to lose Sean because Sean was an encyclopedia and he was a storyteller, something that is paramount in having a good show. I didn't read as much as Sean. He's a reader. I like being around readers. Readers are usually very intelligent. Readers usually have certain vocabulary that kind of makes you kind of better in terms of conversation. Just like when you go bowling. If you're going to bowl with a bunch of 80 guys, you're going to probably bowl a little bit better. You bowl with guys that are dropping 150 on average, you're going to bowl better. It's just the way it is. Same thing happens with golf with me. When I'm around a bunch of jackals playing golf, I don't golf as well when I'm golfing against guys that are actually hitting off the tee. Now, I'm going to still play well, but you know what I mean. Still play better when there's a little bit of competition. That's good. So, unfortunately for Sean, he couldn't get his personal stuff in his head out of the way. And when you lose that asset, it's gone. It's bad because you lose the talent. Now, Stone, the issue with Stone is he can't. He has a job. He just can't. He dedicated 2 years of his life to scouting, and it didn't materialize into anything. So therefore, you have to go back and earn a living. But for us, luckily for me, I own my own business, so I can control my schedule. And Gerald has been in the podcast world for a very long time and has a knack for it. So,
and I've got 3 shows. I've got kids. I got life. We got a lot of stuff to do, but it's up to you to help us. If you make it worth it to us, to make it more of a priority, where we are working on this show 7-8 hours a day, then absolutely we can commit to it. But it is always up to you and the support that you can give to us. And if you can, we are immensely and greatly appreciated. And we will reward you back by giving it more of us. I'm doing things behind the scenes to help enhance the experience. In fact, I'm adding something here in the coming days that will, I've been told, and I've been asked, will enhance the experience even more. So we'll see what happens. And again, we will give you as best as much as we can, but you've got to help us out by getting us a larger and larger audience.
My belief is this is not on, in a lot of ways, it's not on the audience to, the audience is already committed. The ones that have come and watched, you're valued. You're making the show valuable. The next step is our job is to see when we're going to be able to do this more as a full-time thing. Because when you're full-time, or at least it's a highly resourced secondary setup, meaning let's say you have a lot of people that play sports and then they do a podcast. They can do both. I truly feel we're going to get there. It's just a matter of time until we get those resources. Now, what happens with the material in that is what's going to enhance. Because if I have more time to really put together a production, the production will be good and the material will be better. The only negative in my area is I've probably alienated a lot of people down the road when people start watching the show to find out dirt. That's the only negative for me. I won't be able to converse with Jeannie or Rob, maybe in a lot of ways LeBron, because there's been some negative commentary on those guys, and those people seem to be very temperamental. I've said a lot of things in the NFL, people like Roger Goodell. Mark, you mentioned playing golf with Trump. No matter how known I get, I'm probably going to be even more picky on who I hang out with. I am not a guy that likes to hang out with people that tend to have a lot of attention. Doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. So,
Darren, you're asking Joe to answer a question on a triple play?
Yeah, the game-ending triple play. I couldn't believe what I watched.
Okay.
It was a game of.
I didn't see the highlights yet. So.
Yeah, it was. The Dodgers were rolling. They were down 4-1 in the bottom of the ninth. They had 3 straight singles.
Oh, okay.
And then Rojas hit to Machado. Machado started a
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I just never. In a billion years, I would have never ever.
Was it the third? Was it the hard way? Third, second, first?
Yes, it was exactly how it's.
Wow, that's the hardest one.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that's Darren. Yep, that rarely happens. When I watched baseball all the time as a younger man, I saw it maybe once or twice, but that's because that's always the hardest way is to go third base, second base, first base. And you've got to have really, Joe, you really got to have a slow ass runner heading from home plate to first base to not make it for that triple play. So
yeah, but Manny's perfect throw to second. See if there's anybody, or Arenado and Manny can make that play faster than it probably should be. The Dodgers didn't hit well today when it mattered, but there was a lot of just one of those things where Jerks and Profar had 2 huge catches in the outfield that would have probably normally been singles. It just seemed like everything was shaded towards the Padres today. And usually when the Dodgers lose a first game like this, they usually come out scoring like 8 or 9 runs in the next game. At least that's what they've been doing this year. So they come back out tomorrow and lay the wood on the Padres. All this will be forgotten. So going back to what I was saying before, because we got to get back online here, guys.
You haven't even started the topic yet.
Well, it's important because Darren is a integral part of the show, and
he is very much
needs to be. And there's been some chat room drama lately, folks. This is not supposed to be an argumentative show.
Only we're supposed to do that.
Yeah, only we're supposed to do that. You guys are supposed to be watching us and having your thing. However, saying that that's not going to happen is very unrealistic. Saying that that's not going to happen is not possible, especially if you get a bigger audience. My advice to you is have your spat, but I don't want you guys to say, I'm out of here. I don't think that's the way to go. And it's going to happen, but I hope it doesn't for many of you. And again, the show is what it is right now because people have their own way of doing things. Very hard for people to dedicate a part-time job, not making any money in it really, and being dedicated to it. People are barely dedicated to jobs they're getting paid at. However, it's an investment. This is an investment in time. Because right now, if I'm not doing a show, I'm probably sitting watching highlights of a sports show. So might as well be productive because maybe down the road in, let's say, 5 years, we're making 6 figures a year doing a show like this. That's what you're banking on. But I wanted to address this and finish it off with this last thing is I don't want you guys to spat on the chat room and then feel like you're resentful and leave. I don't want that. And I just want to put that on the record. You're grown people. You can do whatever you want. But I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to be the issue here. And
Darren says he would someone commits blasphemy against Kobe, I will go off, or Magic.
That's fine.
But can somebody respectfully say that, you know what, Kobe, however great he was, one of the greatest of all time, without any doubt, had certain issues in his life that he dealt with off the court and on the court. There were certain things closer towards the end of the career that people point out that maybe could have been done differently, or the Colorado thing could have been handled differently. We'll go there. Magic. no one will ever question about how great he is as a player. One of the greatest point guards, if not the greatest point guard of all time. I'm not really going to have it argued because it's just semantics with people when they do that stuff. But did you like him as a coach? Did you like him as an executive? I mean, he's just an extraordinary business person out there, has made countless amounts of money. More money probably he's made outside the court than he ever did on the court. But hold on, let me finish. When he was an executive, no worries. I just want to say, when he was an executive, are you saying it's bad that we talked, about his performance? So I'll leave it at that. So, but yes, about as a player, neither of those gentlemen could actually be, talked down about in any way, shape, or form. So
I also want you guys to maybe harness some old school leather skin. When you heckle someone or someone heckles you, yes, get angry, get upset, whatever, but let it go if you can. I grew up fighting my friends, and then we go have a drink afterwards. It's a guy thing. Guys, that's a guy thing. We should continue to do that. I still do it. Even one of my friends, or Jesse, my video game developer friend, he's a millennial and he's very sensitive to things. And I let him know that he's very sensitive sometimes. And there's been discussions about, let's just fight for about 2 minutes and let's get it out of our system. It's an ongoing joke, right? We're not going to probably do it, but the point is, we still talk. He's almost kind of like my little brother at this point.
And Darren, you're right. Name someone else that gave you more great basketball Laker memories than Kobe. No one.
Let me say something about the stars, folks. Okay. I got caught up in something that I didn't like here the last decade or so. I found myself hating ex-Laker players that I loved. Kurt Rambis being one most recently. I'm using that as an example. I never hated Kurt Rambis, but there's been such disdain with Kurt Rambis and his wife and all that stuff. I have purposefully not talked about Kurt Rambis a lot because I don't want to hate Kurt Rambis. Byron Scott was not a good coach in LA, but what the hell did you want him to do in 2016 and 2017 with no talent? Well, I don't want to hate Byron Scott. I don't want to hate Magic because he wasn't a good GM. I don't want to hate Kobe because there are things that I saw outside the basketball court that made me scratch my head. There's things that trigger something in my head a little bit, and it's usually revolving around family. Why was he not getting along with his family? Yes, I understand family members change when money's involved and all that, but I initially feel that Kobe Bryant is so magnetic and so powerful that he should be able to figure that out because I've been able to do that in my life. Now I don't have $100 billion like these guys, but that's not the point. The point is I believe that that would never happen no matter what. And when you start thinking that way with people you don't really know and you really like them here, and then all of a sudden you see something negative over here, you have to understand, folks, more than ever before, that we do not live in a perfect world. Look at what's going on with Sean Combs right now. Anyone that said hi to him is implicated. People just on the street. And I always use my friend as an example on this ridiculousness of this trash that keeps coming out, right? As far as who's involved, right? That's really what it is. Whatever he's done is whatever he's done. I'm sure since the feds are involved, feds don't usually take chances. They probably have some good stuff on them, right? But it's this nonsense where they'll see pictures with people and all of a sudden they know every ounce of what's going on. My buddy Rafi, an Armenian, by the way, and I want to say hi to Henry out there. It's been a while since I've said hello to him, and we miss him. We were at a Bill Cosby comedy show. And as Bill Cosby's walking to the stage, my friend shakes his hand and says, "How you doing, Mr. Cosby?" and he walks onto the stage and does his show. Does that make my friend now a supporter of bad things? Like, come on, people. And this kind of goes back to everything I'm saying right now. We take things too seriously sometimes. You see us go crazy about the Lakers and Jeannie and Rob and LeBron and all this. Yeah, we're in the moment. Be in the moment. Just like Phil Jackson used to say, be in the moment. But then once you kind of sit back and the moment is past, it's time to start getting normal. Go lay down, go work out, go do some work, and don't let it linger. This is just a show of information and some entertainment. And that's all I'm saying.
Now, I know we bash Cool Bro in the comments a lot, and Cool Bro, we do, you got a thick skin, and I appreciate that. But Darren, remember, there's now a full generation of individuals that don't know about the Colorado incident with Kobe Bryant. You got to remember how long ago it took place. So he's a teenager. So teenagers don't know, for the most part, unless they really studied up their history, that they don't know anything about Kobe Bryant and Colorado. So that's, before we go ahead and get on somebody for that, just because of their age, that's, I don't like him defending Cool Bro because he does all the time as far as his stuff that he does, including his fast food and poor dietary habits and all that other stuff. But he is a teenager, and remember that if you have sons, daughters, grandkids in that age group, they probably don't know about that incident, Joe. So that's something we have to remember, that we have to be cognizant of that. There's now a generation, would you say Gen Z, or even, is there a generation before, or do they qualify in that? But there is a generation now of people that don't know about certain things that happened earlier this century.
I don't know I know that I've heard those generation names. In the end, I don't know if it means much, because I've seen adults do things that children do now. And as far as Cool Bro is concerned, you've noticed that I don't really discuss too much stuff with Cool Bro.
But to Cool Bro's defense, he's
yeah. Well, I don't necessarily. I'm not
my kids. I don't think have any knowledge of what that went on in that.
I'm a firm believer in not really conversing with children other than my own.
Okay.
I'm not a personality that.
Well, they did like it when you'd shoot him out whenever he told you he was going to Taco Bell.
Well, I'm telling them that because we've seen what's going on in this country, and especially when you're a child. And I'm not saying I didn't eat fast food. I ate fast food when I was his age, but I ate 90% of the time I was eating rice, meat, and home cooked meals. My fast food was relegated to after football games and special occasions. It wasn't something where I was eating that stuff every day. I didn't eat macaroni and cheese until I got to college. Not because my parents forbid me. It's just our culture wasn't about eating that kind of food. And with the stuff that they've replaced food with, where it was more simple, there was an article I read about how Gatorade used to be basically potassium, water, electrolytes, and some other, like one other thing, and then now there's like 18 different flavors in there. You got to be careful, folks. Everything's about preservation with these food things, and the more preservatives you have to go through, the more likely you're going to start getting a lot of issues. And I'm surrounded by people that I just, my sister had thyroid cancer. Luckily, they were able to take out half of it, and she's fine. She doesn't have to be on any hormones. My friend just found out he's got Graves' disease. There's a lot of people that are getting stuff. And while I'm not going to get into why, I have some interesting theories about what was going on, and a lot of it starts to go back to 2020. But food is a killer. Food will kill you. And
you kind of need food to survive, Joe.
Yeah. And I'm not saying don't have fun, but I'm also saying don't let that be your only thing. But anyways, let's.
Yeah, 30 minutes in. That's okay. We're right
You know,
here.
it's okay. It's okay. You know, there's been some things festering here on the show, and I haven't liked it. So I felt like I had to say something. I don't
No
want
worries, Darren. All good.
I don't want our people to be uncomfortable here. I don't want you guys to be uncomfortable. This is supposed to be a release for you guys to watch this, listen to this in your cars, late at night, during the day, depending on where you are in the world, so that you guys can laugh, enjoy the show, and get some information as well. And I seriously think every day how I can be better on this show. I'm constantly trying to figure out how my speech can get better, how I can eliminate some things that bother me about how I deliver a word or a phrase or a discussion. It does mean something to me, and it means something to me because there's almost 1,800 people that have subscribed that say we value your show enough to where we're going to subscribe and support you. Not all of them are going to be here every night or every day, but they've at least given their subscription saying, "Hey, good luck. Do what you got to do."
And on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Welcome after that long detour where, well, ironically, I put it in the description, Joe, like Fonzie. Again, I'm now dating myself when I say this. Like Fonzie, we jumped the shark. Will the Lakers make some moves, get desperate? What will happen, Joe, if it all goes wrong? Yesterday, we talked about how if everything went right, this would happen. This is going to happen. It's going to look like this, in our opinions. So, what would happen if it goes Fonzie? If it goes Fonzie jumping the shark? If it goes off the rails? If it goes terribly wrong in those first 10 games? What would it look like to you? It'd probably be some injuries, poor decision making, guys not stepping up, guys not performing. A whole bunch of things have to go wrong if the Lakers come out of the gate struggling.
My instincts tell me if this thing falls off, it's likely going to be a disconnect between JJ Redick and the players. JJ Redick is, what's the word, enigmatic?
You could say that. He qualifies.
You want grown men, grown athletes to be able to handle some constructive criticism. In some cases, aggressive constructive criticism, because it is sports. It is a man's sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always been the case. And this isn't something recent. This is
Are you talking about basketball? It's a man's
no, football, basketball, doesn't matter what sport. We want to think that these grown men that are freakish athletes can handle the abuse of constructive criticism, but they usually don't. Very few can and still come out and perform. We talk about Kobe. We were talking about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was being criticized by Phil Jackson, by Shaquille O'Neal a lot. And they still won. And that's rare. Usually when you have a rift like that with the coach, with the other star player, usually ends up turning out to be bad. I remember Larry Brown and AI having a lot of problems. They still won, but they didn't win it all, but they still somewhat won. But you look back on it and you think, man, who won that argument? I think in the end, I think we all know who did. But then again, Larry Brown seemed to always have an issue at some point somewhere. So what I'm saying by that's a good example is there's a shelf life for this thing, even with the greatest coaches and the best communicators. JJ Redick doesn't have any cachet other than him being JJ Redick. So if it's a January game and they're struggling, and he gets mad at Rui Hachimura, and then let's say during practice, JJ Redick pulls a Mike Ditka, and now Rui's like, "You're telling me not to do this? Yet you just did it an hour ago." So what I mean by Mike Ditka, I've always wanted to use this example. It just finally came up in the right situation. Mike Ditka, back when he was coaching the Bears, criticized his players for doing too many outside things, and then not too long after that, ended up doing the exact thing he was criticizing. People resented that. People thought that was hypocritical, meaning like commercial type stuff. And Mike Ditka was the kind of guy that did everything. He never said no to anything. He's kind of like Peyton Manning. So I feel very strongly that if this falls off its rails, it's going to be something that involves JJ Redick and with communication, and there'll be some kind of resentment towards him due to something. And then once that's there, then players aren't playing hard. LeBron isn't the guy you want on a team that there's rift. He's not a guy that puts people together like that. He doesn't rally people. What he does is he deflects, and he will think that he's being coy in how he responds when it's pretty obvious what he's doing.
So I think a lot of things for me can go wrong with the Lakers, especially if in training camp or exhibition or early on the season, LeBron or AD gets hurt, Joe. That will just send the Lakers into a tailspin right there. If LeBron or AD, one of those two guys gets hurt right away, the season is getting off to a bad start. And then the finger pointing starts to begin, and they're just going to start pointing at each other if they're not performing to the level, if they're not getting the wins against teams that they should beat. I'm not talking about the teams that maybe are a little bit tougher than them or a little bit more competitive than them, or a little bit more talented than them, but the teams right in that mix in the middle of the pack or below, if they start losing quite a few games against those teams as well, it could be a really ugly season very quickly. I know then the heat on Rob Pelinka will be catastrophic, not just from this show, Joe. That seat will be, like, let's say when you're driving, if you got a nice car, you got the seat warmer on, you to push the button, your seat is warm. It will be roasting fire if the Lakers get off to a bad start. By November, by December, if it really starts to look bad, Joe, it could really be a problem. And again, we'll be calling for Rob Pelinka to be fired. That's neither here nor there. We've done that before in the past, but you're going to hear that call louder and louder and louder, and the pressure more and more. He'll become desperate, Joe, and he'll do something with the picks that he has left. He'll try to make a desperate trade or a drastic trade or some type of movement to save his job. That's a guarantee if it goes wrong. That's a guarantee.
What makes you think that?
I'm telling you, if it goes wrong and if it goes bad, it's going to get really ugly here. It's going to get really ugly in Lakerland. And a lot of people will be pointing the finger that he didn't do anything during the course of the summer. They can't fire the coach again because they just hired him.
The issue there, though, is if you, let's say, fire Rob Pelinka next year, the new GM is going to want his own coach.
Well, they'll fire him in the summer next year, but I said they can't fire him they can't fire JJ in November or December. I don't think they would, unless he really has a problem with the Lakers team. If there's really a disconnect there. I mean, we saw that in Milwaukee, where it went off the rails from training camp, and then it got worse and got worse. And despite a winning record, they fired the coach there and brought in Doc Rivers. But I think with the Lakers, they really want to stick it out with JJ unless LeBron or AD or somebody in the organization really tells, that's has some sway, tells Jeannie, it's either me or him. But I don't foresee that happening. I think the pressure would be more on Rob Pelinka if it really goes bad.
If that's the case, then I would think that maybe Jeannie is starting to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to have to adapt. She's going to have to adapt at some point here. Look at the 2 times that the Lakers went outside the family to get a leader. The first one was Bill Sharman in the last 50 plus years. What was the issue with the Lakers in 1969, 1970? Can't win the big one.
Yeah. Bring
in Bill Sharman. They win in 1972. Have at that time the best team that the NBA ever had. Went 69-13, beat the Knicks in the finals in 5. Will Chamberlain was the MVP. And Jerry West finally gets his ring with Gail Goodrich and the crew. Fast forward 25 years later, 25 plus years later. In that time, the Lakers were fortunate that they, and this is how it played out. We never knew what the result of this was, and the way it fell down, the way it kind of trickled down, wasn't anything I want. You can kind of, it was just what it was. So they went and got Jack McKinney in 1979, and at the time things were going real well. Then he got into the bike accident, and then they had to let assistant coach Westhead take over, and they ended up winning. We could have said Jack McKinney was the guy that they went outside to get, and look what happened, right?
But now, if there's a disconnect between JJ and the team, and by December it doesn't look like it could be repaired, they do have 2 NBA experienced coaches as backup assistants, Joe.
Correct. Now, this is the coach part, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think, again, if it goes bad, I really think that they'll go for Rob Pelinka first. Okay. I really think Rob will feel the heat first before JJ.
They've sprinkled the coach in and out of the system. They've gotten guys that are part of the Laker family, guys that aren't. And it's worked out most of the time when they go out. When they have the right team, because that's what it matters. As far as the general manager side or the VP side and the office, the upper office, the upper executive areas, they've rarely gone outside, at least from what I can remember. Jeannie's probably going to have to do that at some point. There isn't any players that are going to retire that are going to take over and be good. Mitch Kupchak took over. He was a player. Jerry West, obviously. They're those guys. I mean, think about that for a second. Who you're talking about? Rob Pelinka. Before Rob Pelinka, there was really only 2. They had different names, but there was really been only 2, at least in my lifetime, that were in control of the executive side of the Lakers.
What would you consider Magic or
Magic?
Because it was West to Kupchak. I thought Magic was next, and then Rob.
Magic was never
the day-to-day.
Yeah. He wasn't day-to-day. See, Jerry West. So when we talk about the executive, when we talk about the executive guy, we're not talking about Magic.
So who do I blame the Zubats trade on?
You can blame it on both Rob and
that's what I do.
Magic. You can blame it on both because they're together in that. Jeannie got Magic in there to settle things down. She got Magic in there to get LeBron, maybe even, and he did. Magic is the greatest at being Magic, and we love him for it. Mm-hmm. But he has to go outside being Magic. He said it himself. This isn't me saying it.
Yeah.
He said, I live a great life, and he likes to compliment people, and he likes to support people. Magic has never changed. Magic looked at a disease that was killing everybody and told it to eat dust. That's how badass Magic Johnson is. And we love Magic. I love Magic. I'll always love him. Always. And I've never had any resentment in his failure as a coach or as a general manager. Yes, it sucks that he wasn't good at it, but what's good about Magic too is when he finds out he's not good at something, he doesn't prolong the agony. He's not like Jerry Jones or Al Davis or any of these guys. He goes, look, this isn't for me. I'm sorry. That's why I have a lot of respect for Magic. So since I've been on this planet, 1978, there had only been 2 legitimate general manager, VP executive types that were in charge of scouting and drafting and managing and day-to-day and all that. It was Jerry West and Mitch Kupchak. Rob Pelinka, it's almost like the Steeler coaching branch. I don't think a lot of people remember this. There were a lot of people intertwined into that. Bill Sharman and all these guys here and there, assistant GMs here, but the guy that was in charge of all that was Jerry West and Mitch Kupchak, and then Rob Pelinka came in. He followed those guys. And those guys in that time, whether they were players or executives or whatever, you're talking about 10 championships. You're talking about guys that brought in legends on legends in deals that people only wish they could do once. Mitch Kupchak went out so bad that people really forgot about what that guy did for 10 years. He did phenomenal work. He really, really did. And he got screwed royally on one of them to the point where he could have won more championships. And the screw apart, we still got to talk about this with Jeff. There is word that it might have not gone the way it was supposed to go. And Jeff and I are still talking.
I keep waiting.
I'm waiting for Jeff. I can't pressure Jeff. He's doing.
If you guys frequent Jeff's show, please call him out on that. Say you got to go on with.
There is a story about the CP3 trade. Yes, there is a story about the CP3 trade that isn't known, and we are going to have the show. He mentioned it on his last show that we are going to get there before the season starts, and we'll have the show, and I'll let you guys know, and I'll tease it for you. But we're at the modern day Lakers now, and Jeannie gave Rob a shot because Kobe at the time gave his blessing, and everything worked out those first couple of years because of how things played out with AD, how things played out with LeBron at the time. And then of course the team that they put together there was a championship team. However, a lot of times you find out a lot about people and their skill set when things are supposed to be good, but then go bad. Too much panic, too much indecision, too much not listening to yourself and listening to people that you shouldn't be listening to. You take advice from your stars. You want to get them involved. You want to let them know, hey, you think this is going to work. But at the same time, you also got to be able to make that call and understand what you're getting into. What are you giving up? And those are the things that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie have destroyed in the last, what will be four seasons now. And it's difficult. It's difficult because how often are you going to get, and I know Laker fans probably should be saying this because we always get those guys, but you're only one more move away from not having it. And it's looking like down the road with the way the NBA is setting up its new structure, are the Lakers going to be able to pick up that star player every generation? It's going to be much harder now. So what's hard is they wasted Anthony Davis and his prime because of really bad general managing. Really bad decisions, and it just kept getting compounded worse and worse. And then you wasted one of the rare feats from a great player, and that is longevity. Longevity with production. Had this team won at least 2 championships, you could probably sit there and go, you know what? It's okay. LeBron was supposed to come to LA and kind of ride off into the sunset a little bit. Bringing 2 championships to this thing, hell, hey, we were winning 17 games before then. It's cool. You win 1, which is still good, but it's like, God, should have been at least 2. And AD's career is different with 2 championships than 1. He might get a statue if he has 2. So the season has to be perfect. The season would have to be perfect. What is a perfect season? I'll tell you what the perfect season would be. That the Lakers maintain their health like they did last year. You saw Austin Reeves played all 82 games. LeBron played 71 games, and those 13 games that he missed were maintenance missed games. They weren't due to any major injury. Anthony Davis played 76 games. Again, no major injury. His 6 missed games were maintenance misses.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. We're talking about what if everything went wrong for the Lakers to start off the season. How bad could it get? Well, we talked about for LeBron, we talked about the front office, we talked about the coaching. If all that goes awry, talked about if injuries happen to LeBron and AD, but the supporting cast, Joe, what if the supporting cast doesn't, basically hold up their end of the bargain? What if D'Lo reverts back to the D'Lo that people forget, Joe? Remember, there was a period of time where D'Lo was not good at all. He actually was relegated to the bench, and he was actually given, not great amount of playing time for a short period of time there, which kind of humbled him to really get him in that. So yeah, absolutely. That could be a problem if he reverts back to that, but I don't think he will, if anybody, because financially it could cost him because he's a free agent this summer. What if Austin Reeves reverts back a little bit even more, regresses even a little bit more on the offensive end? We need him to improve. What if he reverts back? What if Rui becomes that inconsistent player he was in Washington once again, Joe? And then not to mention what happens with the bench if they are the individuals that we are very scared we think they are for the most part outside of Dalton Connect.
You go into the season understanding the talent. It's very unlikely that Rui is going to not play the way Rui plays. There could be some tweaks that'll be positive. The only way it goes negative is if maybe he's playing injured, which most of these players don't really play injured. They usually will take time off. Austin Reeves, if he worked on his ball handling skills a little bit more, maybe that might be an asset that I could see improve. Also, he could maybe hit an extra 3-pointer every game. That could very well happen. Him going below what he's been? Not likely. Not likely. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he's such a him and Caruso in a lot of ways. They what made their careers successful is their ability to adapt to the pressure, adapt to the stars, adapt to the system, adapt to culture. They're the kind of guys that are gonna go with the flow. They're not gonna create a rift anywhere. That's how Austin is. That's how Caruso was. Rui is kind of like that too. He's not gonna mess anything up. Rui 2 years ago, when he was struggling, when he got traded to LA, he got benched, and he was mature enough to finally say to LeBron, he went to LeBron and said, LeBron, what am I doing wrong? And then you saw him finishing off the year very, very well. So he's accountable. So I don't see those two guys going negative unless it's an injury type situation. I could see them get better. Now, D'Angelo Russell, he could check out because he has. He could not get along with JJ Redick. Every coach in every season, no matter what sport, no matter what team, no matter what coach, always has a doghouse player. Probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, doghouse player, do you? I can't say whipping boy because Gerald gets all weird when I say that. There's always a player that's in the doghouse. Not really, see, doghouse not even the right word. That guy that they go after and kind of give lip to. There's always that guy, right? D'Angelo could be that guy to JJ Redick. Or he could do it to connect, but what is that for? What's that going to do? He's a rookie. Of course that doesn't count. D'Angelo could regress, and it would be mentally. It would be something that could be created from being resentful, being put in a position where he's not there to succeed. LeBron and AD are great players. It's hard to kind of keep those guys down ever because they're just too good. But at the same time, they're not going to be the guys that AD is more of a leader by example than a vocal guy. And LeBron is so passive aggressive, you don't know if he's a leader or not half the time. So this thing falling off its rails, it's going to fall off. The question really is, can they get it back on? And if the Lakers are going to continue to have slow starts and injuries the first couple months and get behind and then have to go on a run after the All-Star break, you're going to see the same record over and over again. You're going to see slow, deal, then run into the All-Star break, not make a deal to help yourself, run it hard, and then run out of gas at the end.
Once again, it is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. It is the Lakers Fast Break. $7,000. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, pick one: swim in shark-infested water or Africa Sava. So,
what's a Sava?
As far as what does he mean by Africa Sava?
I don't know what that is.
I'm trying to get the location. It's in was it South Africa? I think. Oh, is it sort of like a? Oh, okay. Let me bring this up for you. This is that. I think as far as the location, yeah. Let me see. I'm bringing that up. I think that's what I came up on a Bing search. So, no worries. No worries, $7,000, but we truly appreciate the super chat nonetheless. I would pick shark-infested water myself.
Okay, can you explain to me what the hell Africa Sava is?
I think it's talking about like the as far as not the jungle per se, but the African areas where lions, tigers, elephants. What I'm seeing on my Bing search is telling me that.
Would it just be me, myself, and I without any?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. He's giving you a choice. Shark.
I don't see how. I'm trying to figure out: is it better to be in complete vulnerability in the water with sharks all around, or somewhere in Africa where at least there's trees I can jump on and climb or whatever? I have a shot there in the vast lands of Africa.
Well, one thing I want to go ahead and discuss, Jeremy's asking, we should discuss AD's three-point shooting or lack thereof. Such a drop-off. Uh, Jeremy, you got to realize there's only one time where he shot well from beyond the three-point arc, and that was in the bubble. And obviously, we were the benefactors for it. You remember the Kobe finish as far as him shooting it, at the last second, getting the game win at bucket. Oh, that was just so fantastic of a memory that I have. Shouting Kobe. It was just absolutely just a fantastic moment in Lakers history. But he has never shot above 34% at any point in time, and his career percentage is Russell Westbrook-like at 29, just under 30%. Last year, he shot 27%. I said it before, guys. And I remember Zangerstein, who hopefully will come back when the season starts, because she said that she would be coming back when the season starts. She just takes the summers off. Joe, I remember when Ham said he wanted to get AD 5 attempts a game from behind the arc. And I thought that was the dumbest idea I had ever heard. And she and I were going back and forth on it. And she was trying to say, oh, this is what the offenses are doing. It's the modern offense. And I said, why would you give AD, a notoriously bad shooter from behind the arc, more shots from behind the arc instead of more touches at the rim where he's more efficient? It just was mind-boggling to me that people were trying to justify this. And look what happened. At one time, he was shooting under 20%. He finally got it close to 27%. But that's terrible, Joe. You don't want him shooting behind the arc anymore in his career. He has never been a good shooter from behind the arc. There was only one period of time in the bubble that he was even an acceptable shooter from behind the arc. Get him touches on the rim, pick and rolls, actions toward the basket. Get him doing what he does best. I don't know if his mid-range, it comes and goes, Joe, based on the season, because he was really good mid-range at one time, then he wasn't, and he was, and it came back. It does, that's kind of a feeling out process if you can see it's working for him or if it's not. But I would try to get action for him as much as you could to the rim, Joe. And if you don't, and if you have him shooting 5 to 7 threes a game, that's asking for trouble, Joe.
Anthony Davis would have had to have advanced his skill sets there for him to be good. It doesn't look like his off seasons are dedicated to enhancing something that he's weak at. It's just kind of how it plays out.
Jeremy, if JJ wants him to shoot, we heard this from Ham last year. That's just garbage. That's just stupidity. Asking a 29% career shooter to shoot more threes, Joe. And it's not like it's his first season. It's his 13th season?
And it goes to show you how bad Darvin Ham was, and he's not the only one.
Yeah, it'll be a 13th season.
It's such a bad. If Brook Lopez didn't become a three-point shooter and a defensive stalwart, I would have laughed 100% out of this. But there has been a player in our time that got really good there out of nowhere. And it only makes it worse, though, because why hasn't Anthony Davis gotten better from three, considering he's got a really good shooting stroke? His mechanics are good. He can get space. He's tall. He's got the reach. Kind of makes you wonder. But you have to come to grips with players' talents. You have to go into the season understanding that they're going to be a certain player because that's what they've shown for years, or at least for guys like Rui and Reeves, a short amount of time. That's what they've shown. We're analyzing this team this year based off of what we've seen. It's not really technically a negative thing, although it does come out to be negative because their skill set won't be enough to win a championship. Therefore, we're wondering why this executive board decided to do nothing. And the fact that we're critical of JJ Redick for not having enough experience today, what did he say today?
He said he was going to start the same starting five that
That
he
went
had ended.
23-10.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that's the team that started last year when they were healthy. So what exactly does that mean? Are you banking on the fact that this team's only going to play 33 times, 43 times, 50 times during the year? What do you do with the other 30? Point isn't the starting lineup. We've talked about this. The point of this team is where's the depth? Who's going to back up Anthony Davis? Who's going to have the ability to rebound, position themselves to get rebounds, and play good man-on-man defense? It takes athletes. It takes grit, the mentality. Sure, the right system helps too. Floor spacing, balance, your ability to maybe enhance players' will, want. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that. I like to think that athletes need to motivate themselves. I think there are moments in certain times during the year where a coach does inspire. I think that's important in certain games. But if that guy has to continue to keep you motivated throughout the year, then you probably shouldn't be doing what you're doing. So the Lakers right now are banking on starting Rui, Reeves, D'Angelo, LeBron, and AD. Wow, what a revelation. What happens when those guys sit, though? Because the reason why they played well together was because they were playing together. The problem is they only started 33 games. I don't know why I said 43 before. 33. What happens with the other 50 games? You have a solution to that. Because right now, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, a rookie, a guy you just paid $8 million for who hasn't shown anything, a first-round pick 2 years ago who already has back problems. Are you banking on these guys to help? Of course, Gabe Vincent, I always leave him out because I just assume he's going to be injured when the season starts. But what are you expecting from these guys?
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Joe Soro and I will be back tomorrow, I believe, for Inside Sports Fantasy Football as we get closer to NFL Week 4, and then also more Lakers Fast Break shows this week as we get closer to training camp just around the corner starting October the 1st. Don't forget Family Picture Day, Joe. Family Picture Day coming up real soon with Bronny and LeBron. Ah, how nice. But again, it could go off the rails just as like it can go very well for the Lakers. Wait and see. But so many analysts out there are already picking doom and gloom out there for the Lakers. There are a lot of individuals out there that are not affiliated with the team, or like in that grouping of analysts that or reporters that have to go ahead and stay in the good graces of the Lakers, that are actually trying to unbiased opinions on the Lakers. And a lot of them, Joe, are not good. Again, I go back to Vegas where they have the Lakers seated. I think the initial when they dropped it first was 11th in the Western Conference at 44.5 wins. I mean, if it could go worse. If LeBron or AD gets injured, 44 wins might be something they might not be able to achieve. And that's the problem for a team that does not even, they can't even tank, Joe. They don't even have their first round pick.
There's one last shot that they could take. That there would need to be a lot of luck involved. And that would be getting a third player that would be effective. and just going for broke. I just don't know who that third player would be. I don't know. This last year and in 2004 are the two seasons I remember vividly where a major trade that wasn't considered major in the terms of the result of it worked that year. And that was, the first one was Rasheed Wallace being traded to Detroit from Atlanta. He was in Atlanta for, I think, for like a weekend. And then he went on to help the Pistons beat the Lakers in the finals that year. And then this last year, Drew Holiday going to Boston.
Your favorite cut of steak?
Me?
$7,000. Yes.
I'm a prime rib guy, 16 ounce. If I'm really hungry.
Ooh, prime rib lofts here in Vegas. Oh,
the prime rib I had at Mastro's in Vegas to this day is still the greatest steak I ever ate in my life.
Lowry's is pretty good too. I'm going to say for me, New York. Well done for me, or medium well. But and shrimp or lobster. For me, it's close. I love
Shrimp.
both.
Shrimp.
I'm going to say lobster. By a tail. Thank you, $7,000 for the super chat. Truly appreciate it.
See, this is when we need the noise.
Oh my gosh. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I know. All right. But yes, Marquand, he does have a $50+ million option for next year, which he'll probably opt out of so he can sign another 1+1 the following year if he wants to continue playing in the NBA.
LeBron?
So, yeah, that's what Marquand says. He says he thinks he'll be out and done this year. So
I would guess he plays up.
Marquand, he plays for the Denver Nuggets. Westbrook does. He got traded to there from Utah. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I believe LeBron will play one more year after this year, collect this $50 million, and go off into the sunset.
I'm not going to say Marquand. He can get injured at any point in time. He's 39 years old, so he can get injured at any point in time.
I just don't see him refusing $50 million.
Yeah.
The Lakers are going to have to say no,
which they won't. Oh, he's saying a fake injury by LeBron in the first 10 games. He's just being
I know LeBron's a lot of things. I don't believe he's a guy that would do something like that. Yeah. I'm naive, but I think that's a little too much.
Well, if it does go wrong, he won't play on a trash team. He kind of did in his first year here. It wasn't exactly the best team in the world, but they were doing okay before he got injured. So I'll just say this, that if it does go wrong, one of the major reasons why is LeBron or AD will get injured, legit injured. And that will probably be a problem for the Lakers. Plus their supporting cast could be as bad as we fear it may be, Joe. That's my biggest fear is the supporting cast. The guys like D'Lo and Rui take a step back as far as their efficiency from behind the line. Austin Reeves doesn't get any better than he already is. And the rest of the crew from spots 5 to 12. Dalton, you kind of leave out of the equation because he's a rookie, Joe, and it's just a rookie experience. But the rest of the guys like the Max Christie you just signed for a 4-year deal, the Jackson Hayes, all the other guys that are at the Gabe Vincent's who you've got on still a 2-year deal that's left on his contract. Jared Vanderbilt's, those guys, they just end up taking up space. That's what I fear the most.
Media days next week?
I believe so, yes.
And they're not having the LeBron Invitational?
They may be having no. It would have actually already been done. It would have been done last week if that's the case.
They decided to scrap it.
Maybe because of the
It's going to be nauseating. Those media day things usually are nauseating because everybody's just the media people are kissing their ass and they're all hopeful. And as I've gotten older, the people mistake it as, oh, well, you're cranky. It's what happens when you get older is the level of horse shit starts to dwindle in terms of your ability to deal with it. You're more patient with nonsense as you're maturing because you don't know any better. When you mature and you start understanding how things work more and more, you're less tolerant to nonsense. Now, that's not everybody. I'm sorry. It's almost everybody, but not everyone does it outwardly.
Mhm.
Keep it in. They whine about it at home. They don't solve any problems. Therefore, people continue to do that because they're worried about backlash. Oh, you're just being negative. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You're, trying to create a problem. No. I wish these people would ask the legitimate questions. JJ Redick, you had commented that you were going to start the team that played at a 23-10 record, which makes sense. What are you going to do in those games where there might be an injury or you may need to spell AD? It's an 82-game season, possibly 84-game season, possibly 85-game season, especially with the way the Lakers have played the last few years. How are you going to balance AD's minutes? Why don't they ask these questions? Everything's, oh, well, so hey, this is your first shot. Are you excited? And how does that make you feel? Like sideline reporting. One of the most worthless jobs in sports is sideline reporting, except when you're updating injuries. That's what it should be. Asking someone how does it feel after they hit a game-winning shot or a game-winning home run, absolutely stupid and a waste of time. Got to think of something better than that. But that's me. And I'm curious to see when things, should they go wrong, when does it become more about the circus than the goal? Are we going to be doing shows in December and January talking about the circus versus a team that's trying to compete to get to the playoffs?
Well, on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate you doing so. Remember, please like and subscribe. Subscribe today. Get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast, or tomorrow where we're putting the Inside Sports Fantasy Football Show on here as well, talking about NFL Week 4, what happened in Week 3, and is it time to go ahead and panic? Our annual Is It Time to Panic episode. Always a fun time indeed. But we'll be back tomorrow for that. And then, of course, Lakers Fast Break shows throughout the rest of the week as we gear up towards training camp and the Lakers coming at you here real soon. Want to thank you so much. $7,000. Truly appreciate you dropping the super chats for today. Cannot thank you enough. Again, as I won, we agree, lobster the best side dish for steak, in my opinion. So Joe's like a steak and shrimp guy.
My issue with the steak and lobster or the surf and turf dishes, typically they put the smallest tail in existence. It's an insult, especially when you're paying $80 for it. So for the restaurants that do that, sit and spin. Seriously, somebody drops $160 on a meal, you can't give them a full lobster tail, something with substance.
Well, on that note, again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate it. I will say for members, as soon as I'm able to get it out there tomorrow, I will share my thoughts to you. First and foremost, my thoughts on the Mr. McMahon
What assault?
docuseries. Yeah,
Markin, what assault are you talking about? I haven't heard about any assault.
When she was poked in the eye, she
Ooh.
said she's fine. I don't know. He says Caitlin Clark was assaulted. I don't know. That's
Assaulted.
That's the WNBA. We keep a casual distance eye on it, but we don't. We're covering the NBA and the Lakers here. So the first playoff game, I guess she was bumped into, poked eye. That's all I know about. So that's all I remember reading. I kept glancing at the headlines on it. So, and I'm assuming. Okay. So it was one of the spoke.
Wait, do they allow nails in the WNBA? Curlic nails?
Okay. Again, we don't see the footage, so we cannot. I can't comment on it. So that's your opinion, and that's.
Will you answer the question? Do they wear curlics when they're playing? They don't do that, right? They don't allow that.
The Aces are getting to be a big deal, Seven. I mean, 2 titles in a row, and they are actually pretty good watching. It's still the Golden Knights, Seven, here in Vegas, but the Aces, they sell out. They sell out the Mandalay Bay. They sell out the T-Mobile when Caitlin Clark was here. They do pretty good numbers. So they're really getting a good crowd, and they won their playoff series. So I'm very happy for them. I think Asia Wilson is absolutely the best WNBA player I've seen. Sorry to all Caitlin Clark's fans, you're not up to Wilson speed yet. So I'll just leave it at that. Caitlin Clark's got to cut down the turnovers. But then again, LeBron James is the all-time turnover leader. So there you go. But again, become a member today, $2.99 a month, or like and subscribe. Please do so you can help us out. But we'll be back tomorrow for more great stuff as far as inside sports fantasy football. If there's any Lakers news that drop, we'll go ahead and talk about that as well. And then, of course, we'll be back later this week for more great episodes, nonetheless, of the Lakers Fast Break podcast.